Hi everybody, Sunday, October 7th, 2018. It's time to pull off the fall honey boxes, and what we're going to do, any of them that are full and capped to be extracted, we'll do that. Any that aren't, what I'm going to do is put them up, put them away, and we still haven't had our first frost here. We're right due for one any time, but we've still been in the 80s, and we're looking to be next weekend. The high is only going to be about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So the cold weather's coming. We're going to get that frost that's going to kill off any sources of nectar or pollen for them. And when we get into that Indian summer, they're going to be looking for something. So we'll give them something at that time, and that's going to be what they call the wet comb, which is after you've done the extraction, but there's still just a little residue left. We'll let the bees clean it up so they'll be ready for springtime, as well as any frames that are open. Now, why don't we just leave this box on here? Well, you know, some would argue that the bees in the winter are trying to heat the box. It's more space. No, it's not a matter of that. The reality is the bees are going to go into the cluster. They keep their cluster warm. It doesn't matter really the box size. The main reason is if they've got undefended, they can't defend in the springtime, their numbers are going to drop, and we're going to start having potential issues with either robbing or wax moths or hive beetles, any of those potential problems. And the lower numbers, as we start to get into the springtime, they can't defend it. So we want to wait, you know, and that's right, you know, the month before your nectar flow comes on. So it's more a matter of removing something that they can't defend is the real reason. And during that Indian summer, anything that's left in there, anything that's in there now, any of that nectar that hasn't been dried down and capped, or if it is capped, partially framed, whatever, they'll rob it out and they'll bring it in and put it into their brood nest around it, so it's nice and close for them. So that's it. Let's go ahead and see what we got going. Now remember, I just ate a banana on the other video, and so I got banana breath, and so these bees are probably just going to eat me up. I do have the smoker going, just in case as a hickory switch, and I got my fancy little blower. These little Milwaukee tools are fantastic. This blower, cordless, you get the good batteries. They are expensive, I know. Yes. But if by chance, you know, if you got fancy tools, so to speak, this is what I'll use to blow the bees out of this box. Now another tip, old timers in the old days would say, come in here and smoke the entrance. Smoke them properly. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to run all the bees at the bottom up to the top, so when you pull this off, you got them all in your face. That's no good. Don't do that. If you want to, this here, I leave these on strictly as a vented, the vents in the top go up through the vents here and provide ventilation during the summer. I'm just going to give them just a little puff just because I'm robbing the box. I generally, for an inspection, don't mess with it, but since we're going to try and rob them, I'm going to go ahead. Have a quick peek for the queen. She shouldn't be up there. Now as we get into the fall, they begin a little more defensive. They know that winter's coming. They know that they have lots of stores in here. There's all kinds of other insects out there in the insect world trying to rob them, whether it be ants or these are hive beetle traps. There's 2 in there, and it's been on there for about 3 months. I don't see any hive beetles running around. This one also has 2. So in 3 months, that's pretty good. I don't see any of them running around. In this process, we want to be sure that there's no brood or a queen up here. I don't run queen excluders generally. And just depending on how I feel, whether we're going to try and run through every single frame. At this point, they have this propolised like crazy. A lot of people would argue that it's kind of late to be pulling this off. I should have done this a while back. I don't agree with that because I know that I've got the weights up. So I'm trying to look for a spot to get in here and get a frame out. So this one on the very outside, nothing. On that side, they've got some capped honey there. I'm just kind of going through quick here. We're mainly looking to make sure that we don't see any brood in here before we pull it off. Now here's going to be a frame. This is going to be a toughie. What do you do with it? This side here is completely capped. The other side, they're starting to cap it, but it's still not. Now, there's 2 ways to deal with this. One would be go ahead and try and, you can do if you want to save your comb, it's kind of a tough situation. You could, if your house is really dry inside, leave this sit inside for a few weeks and it'll drop your moisture. Another way would be just go ahead and destroy one side of your frame, scrape this off of here, and then you can go ahead and, because this is ready to be extracted. But they're starting, there's another one, the shake test. So we go in and shake, and some bees are coming off, but not one single drop. They've started capping it. So it's probably okay, but do you want fermented honey? That's a decision that's going to have to be made later. Or let the bees rob it out and bring everything else back in here out of both sides of the frame. This frame is capped both sides. So that's good. We're definitely going to get some decent fall honey out of here. Cap both sides. There's a lot of bees in here. It's pretty heavy. I don't know if you can come over here and get a close-up in there, show all the bees in there. And down in here, they've got it full. Now here's a little test. I'll turn that around and see it from the bottom side. So we gotta watch out for robbers, but we still got a little bit of a nectar flow, a little bit of goldenrod, so the bees aren't in a total robbing frenzy. But we got to clear them out of there. Now, some people will use the fume boards. Some people will use the bee escapes. You can blow them out. You can tap them down and knock them down a little bit. There's a few ways to go about it. And I'll start out, I'll tap it a few times gently. That'll knock some of them down. Then I'll stand it up and gently blow them out. Before I do that, I'm going to get this top back on. But just to show you, now, how are they ready for winter? I'm stealing this from them. They got two deep brood boxes. I come to the back and lift just one half. It's heavy. Related to picking up a 50-pound bag of feed or something for animals. And I'm picking up about 80 pounds on that half. My guess would be that this is about 160 pounds total. It's just something that you get a feel for over time. You could do the scale tipping and actually weigh it for real. You can visually look, and I know. So let's put this one back together here. I'm going to hold off for just a little more. In about a few weeks, I will pull off these boxes, the vents, and I'm going to put on a moisture board and a little shim spacer so that there's a little bit of, I'll put a notched inner cover so they have an upper entrance that they can go out, but that'll be right around November 1st. It depends on your region, but at that point we're not going to have a whole lot of fly time left. Now this part I probably should have a suit on. At this point they aren't bothering me at all, even with my banana breath. But I'm going to knock this a couple times. There's quite a number of bees that came down. Move it over so I don't squish any that fell out. They'll find their way back in the hive. At this point I'll go ahead and stand it up here. This has a variable speed, so I just gently it doesn't hurt the bees, they're fine. The fastest, quickest, easiest way to do it. If I was doing thousands, I might think about some other method with the boards or something, but we've just got about 7 boxes here to pick off. So you can see most of them have already found their way to the entrance. They know their hive. They'll find their way right back in there, and there we go. Thanks for watching, everybody.